What if I told you that the future of construction, the actual stuff holding our world together, isn't in some high-tech lab, but it's hiding inside a tree? We're about to uncover a natural superglue that has the power to change, pretty much everything we build.
Just take a quick look around you right now. Think about your desk, the floorboards, maybe even the frame of your house. What's the invisible force holding all of that together?
The answer, of course, is glue. And no, I don't mean the little white bottle you used in school. We're talking about incredibly powerful industrial-strength adhesives. They're kind of the unsung heroes of the modern world. But the secret ingredient in these superglues, that's where this story gets really interesting.
Believe it or not, the key chemical that makes these glues work is called phenol. And where do we get phenol? From petroleum. Yeah, you heard that right. Fossil fuels. It's kind of a wild thought, isn't it? The very thing holding our wooden world together comes from the oil industry.
So, that brings us right to our first section, the problem with our glue. For over a century, the absolute gold standard has been this stuff called phenol-formaldehyde resin. It's super strong, it's reliable, but it's tied directly to oil, which is, not renewable and has a crazy volatile price. So scientists have been asking a really important question. Can't we do better?
And this sets up a classic showdown. In one corner, you've got phenol, the reigning champ, made from petroleum. And in the other corner, our challenger, lignin. Lignin is a natural polymer that's basically just a waste product from making paper. So the source is definitely greener, but the big question marks are cost and, most importantly, performance. Can it actually compete?
Well, round one goes to lignin, and it's not even close. Just look at the economics. According to the research this is based on, phenol costs about 1,350 euros a ton. Lignin, it comes in at roughly half that, around 700 euros. That is a massive potential savings and a huge reason to try and make this work.
Which leads us right into our next section, a natural wooden solution. The big idea here is really simple. What if we could replace that expensive oil-based phenol with this cheap, superabundant, natural alternative that comes from trees? So what exactly is this stuff, lignin?
To put it simply, lignin is basically nature's own superglue. It's this complex polymer that fills in all the gaps between the cellulose fibers in a piece of wood, and that's what gives it its strength and its stiffness. Seriously, without lignin, a tree would just flop over like a blade of grass.
And the amount of this stuff we have is just immense. Lignin isn't some rare, exotic material. It makes up anywhere from 15 to 40% of all woody plants. It's a massive byproduct of the paper industry. We have literal mountains of this stuff. So what's the holdup? Why aren't we using it for everything already?
Here's the catch. For decades, the big problem has always been what scientists call lower reactivity. So think of it like this. If making an adhesive is like unlocking a chemical bond, phenol is like a master key. It fits perfectly every time. Lignin, on the other hand, is a much more complex and varied molecule. It's more like a whole keychain of slightly different keys. It's just been harder to get that consistently strong connection. And this brings us to section 3, putting lignin to the test. A team of researchers decided to run what I can only describe as a scientific gauntlet. They gathered up a bunch of different types of lignin from all over to see if any of them, just one of them, had what it takes to really replace phenol.
So, meet the 4 contenders. We've got lignin from softwood pine, another one from a hardwood beech, and then 2 from totally non-wood sources, Sarkhan doggrass and wheat straw. The big question was, are all lignins created equal?
Okay, so each of these candidates was put through this really rigorous 3-part test. First up, cooking time. How fast can you turn it into a usable adhesive? Second, and this is the big one, bond strength. Just how strong is the final glue? And third, curing temperature. How much heat, how much energy does it take to get this stuff to set?
So, how did our 4 contenders do? Let's jump into section 4, the surprising results. And what they found was, it was fascinating. It was a classic case of good news and bad news. All right, first, the good news. And it's a big deal. This chart here shows viscosity, basically how quickly the glue thickens up. See that green line way down at the bottom? That's the standard petroleum glue. See how slow it is to react? Now look at all the others. Those are the lignin formulas. They thicken up way, way faster. In a factory setting, that could save a huge amount of time and energy.
But then, the bad news. These graphs show the bond strength. And in pretty much every one, that top green line is our petroleum-based champion. And, well, you can see it. In almost every case, the other lines, the lignin glues, they just couldn't keep up. They flattened out at a lower strength, which just confirmed that old problem of lower reactivity.
And it wasn't just the strength. The researchers also found out that the lignin adhesives needed much higher temperatures to cure properly. And that could totally cancel out all the energy you saved from the faster cooking time. It really felt like for every step forward, it was a step back. But hidden in all that data was a twist. And that leads us to our fifth and final section. A clear winner emerges. Because one of those four candidates didn't just compete, it completely defied all expectations.
The hero of our story wasn't the one from grass or straw or even the hardwood. It was the lignin from softwood pine trees, specifically a type called pine Kraft lignin.
Okay, let's go back to that strength graph. See that pink line with the little triangles? That's the adhesive where they replace 20% of the phenol with this pine Kraft lignin. Look at it. It tracks the petroleum-based adhesive almost perfectly. It reaches pretty much the exact same ultimate bond strength. This was a huge breakthrough.
But the real knockout punch, the thing that made everyone sit up and pay attention, came when they tested the bonds under wet conditions. This is a super critical test for wood adhesives, and what they found? It's just incredible. The standard petroleum glue actually got weaker when it was soaked, but the adhesives made with pine Kraft lignin, they got stronger. The natural alternative didn't just match the synthetic one. In a key test, it actually beat it.
So what does this all mean for us? That's our final section, the big picture. Look, this is way more than just a cool lab experiment. This research points toward a future where we can build stronger, cheaper, and way more sustainable wood products, all thanks to what used to be considered a waste material.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. The authors of the study, they summed it up perfectly. They proved that you could replace a huge chunk, up to 40% of the petroleum-based chemical with this stuff from wood waste, and not only keep the performance, but in some cases actually make it better.
And that just leaves us with this one fascinating final thought. We started with a simple question about furniture, and we ended up with a high-performance superglue made from trees that can outperform a synthetic classic. It really makes you wonder, what other powerful, sustainable solutions are just waiting out there for us to find, hidden in the natural world all around us?